Welcome in, everyone. This is Sean with MTG808 Jr., and today we're going to be recapping our top 4 decks from yesterday's Youth Standard Pauper Championship Scholarship Tournament. Geez, that is a mouthful. Maybe we need to come up with a new name for this tournament series. But anyway, it is a very descriptive name, Youth Championship Standard Pauper Scholarship Tournament. So Standard Pauper is the name of the game. The youth were playing it, and we had a little lower of a turnout than usual, only 14 kids, but man, did these kids come to game. Some great matches of Magic were played, and at the end of the day, Flora here took home first place and $500 in scholarship, along with her Arcane Tempo Challenger deck and a sweet deck box. And she was playing mono white aggro, or white weenie. Julian here came in second, walked away with $250 in scholarship, got himself this Lightning Aggro Challenger deck, a sweet deck box, and he was playing Boros or Red-White Auras, also affectionately known as Boros Pants. In third place, we had Jeffrey. He won himself this United Assault Challenger deck, another sweet deck box, and he was playing Mono Red Burn. He went undefeated in the Swiss. And then coming in fourth, we had JP. He was playing, or he won this, what is it called? The Deadly Discovery, I think it's called, Challenger deck, and a sweet deck box. And he was playing mono green aggro. So all 4 of these decks we're going to take a look at today, but just wanted to quickly go over some of the history of these kids, because this is our 3rd scholarship tournament now. Most of these kids have played in at least more than one, and just getting to see them grow as Magic players has been great. Flora has been playing for less than a year. She and her twin sister have been coming to not every, but almost every event that we've run since they started playing, and they just love the game. Their mom says they practice against each other all the time, and Flora's been playing White Weenie pretty much the whole time, and I think she won a tournament a few months ago, and then she took down this tournament as well. So congratulations to Flora. It's been great seeing her grow as a player. Julian here is kind of, I told Julian going into the finals that he was kind of the bad guy, because everyone is kind of rooting against him, and not because anyone dislikes Julian, but just because he is probably the most experienced player in our youth tournaments. Julian has been playing Magic for many years, probably I'd say at least 5, if not more than that. And then he plays big boy Magic. He plays older formats as well. So and he's only a freshman in high school, but since he's been playing Magic for a long time, I told him he's kind of the bad guy of the tournament. But he played almost the exact same Boros Auras deck that he played last scholarship tournament. Of course, last scholarship tournament he came in second place. He was hoping to take home first place today, but he lost to White Weenie in the finals once again. So he was just having deja vu of what happened in the December tournament. But congratulations to Julian, won himself $250 in scholarship, and he is our first player to win 2 scholarships now at 2 separate tournaments. So congratulations to Julian. Jeffrey's been playing for just over 2 years now, I think. He's been a very consistent player from Honolulu High School, and he is probably the player who asks me the most questions. He had a club last year when he was in middle school, but since he moved up to high school, he doesn't really have a club anymore, but he has some friends that he plays with. But he is the one player who will message me the most and be like, hey, can I get your opinion on this deck? Hey, I'm brewing this deck. What do you think? And, I'm always happy to talk to the kids, and, I think that he puts to great use the resources that he has. So congratulations to Jeffrey. Mono Red Burn dominated the Swiss. I think he only lost 1 game in the Swiss rounds, and then he fell to Julian in the top 4. And then rounding out the tournament, we have our probably, I don't know if he's the youngest competitor of the day, but he's definitely the youngest in the top 4. JP here, again, only started playing about a year ago, and he is only in 4th grade, I believe, at August Aarons Elementary School. But in the year since he started playing at the beginning of the school year, just seeing him grow as a player has been absolutely wonderful. He was very hard on himself after losing his top 4 match. He made a couple of mistakes and lost game 3 after starting out super far ahead. So he took it a little hard, but I think that's just a lesson that every Magic player needs to learn, right? You learn your lessons the hard way, you get better next time, and then you win the next tournament. So I'm very eager to see JP's success in future tournaments. He's grown a bunch as a player, and he is getting real good. Looking forward to see more from him. All right, so that's our top 4 players. Getting to the deck lists now. Flora, we'll start with Flora. She was playing mono white aggro. So my predictions in the last video that I posted were pretty much correct. There weren't any new archetypes that were really spawned from War of the Spark, but a lot of the existing archetypes got big upgrades. My number 1 pick for best card in the set, Law Rune Enforcer. We saw 8 copies in our top 4, and I think that there were like 4, maybe 5 white aggro decks playing Law Rune Enforcer. So, you know, it was very powerful. It was like almost a quarter of the field was white aggro decks. So Law Rune Enforcer did a ton of work. Flora here choosing to play 8 3-drops. Sometimes we only see 4 3-drops, and then some people play Parhelion Patrol, but she wanted to keep her curve low. Makeshift Battalion is another addition from War of the Spark. It's a solid 3-mana creature. You know, a 3-mana 3/2 is passable, and then if you're able to put the counter on it, then it becomes a 4/3 for 3, which is very much above curve. So Makeshift Battalion making an appearance here. The rest of her list is pretty stock. The one thing, Summary Judgment, I really think that Summary Judgment in a white aggro deck would be better as Gideon's Reproach or Divine Arrow. Where are they? Right here. Gideon's Reproach and Divine Arrow. They're the same card, just with different names. 1 white, 1 colorless instant, deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So Gideon's Reproach allows you to deal damage to big creatures when you attack into them. So a very common play pattern with this deck is, you know, you have a 2/2, they play a 2/3. You might not have a pump spell in your hand, but you might have Gideon's Reproach in your hand. So you can attack your 2/2 into their 2/3, and then Gideon's Reproach it when they declare blockers. So your creature is still going to be blocked, but you get to kill their blocker with high toughness. So for that reason, I like Gideon's Reproach in the main deck rather than Summary Judgment. Summary Judgment only deals damage to tapped creatures. Flora did put it to great use because she was often in racing situations where she and her opponent were both attacking each other at the same time. So Summary Judgment was functionally similar to Gideon's Reproach. I don't know if she actually killed a 5 toughness creature with it in the top 4, or if she just was facing down a 5 toughness creature. And yeah, I don't think she actually killed a 5 toughness creature, but there was a window in the finals, I think, where she was being attacked by a 5 toughness creature, and I was like, oh my god, if she draws Summary Judgment right now, then she just wins this game. She ended up winning that game anyway, but she did not do it by drawing a Summary Judgment. But for the most part, I do think Gideon's Reproach is going to be better, or maybe at the very least a split. But other than that, I think that her list is very, very solid. Silverbeak Griffin, a very powerful 2-drop. In the sideboard, Legion Conquistador and Call of the Cavalry are very good against control decks. She did lose to me in the end boss match, but you know, she did come prepared for it. Luminous Bonds, we saw her bring it in against both of the aggro decks that she played against in the top 4. They did work. Squire's Devotion as a nice one-of. Saw her put that to use very often in the aggro matchups. And then Invoke the Divine and Demystify came in great use over the day as well. So Flora made full use of her sideboard. She did register 61 cards. I think she can trim one of these 3-drops to drop it down to 60 and just up her percentages a little bit. But congratulations to Flora. Here we go. So the next deck that we are going to be looking at here is Julian's Boros Aura's deck. This deck, as I said, it was almost the same deck that he registered for the last scholarship tournament that he took to the finals of that one as well. So he is playing Lightning Strike, so if you are playing on Arena, you cannot play Lightning Strike in that slot. You might want to play Skewer the Critics, or the last 2 copies of Skewer the Critics at least, because going to the face is very relevant with this deck. But basically, his deck's game plan is play a 1-drop, and then put Pants on it on turn 2. So he's playing 10 or he's playing 12 1-drops and then 10 2-mana enchantments that can turn a Healer's Hawk into a 3-power creature on turn 2. So that is a very powerful game plan. He beat Jeffrey in the finals because Jeffrey used his cheap burn early, and then I think on turn 4 or 5, Julian top-decked Healer's Hawk, threw a Swashbuckling on it, and Jeffrey was looking at his hand that had a direct current in it, but no 3 damage burn spells, and then he ended up getting outraced by the Healer's Hawk. So, lifelink creatures and then pants to put on them and make them huge is a very proven strategy, and Julian has been putting it to great use, since last year. So, congratulations to Julian. Very solid deck. Again, we see Lawrune Enforcer, a bunch of burn that goes to the face, a couple of pump spells, and then, of course, the enchantments. He is sideboarding a couple more creatures, a little bit more burn, and then his own Luminous Bonds and a little bit more pump, which is very relevant in the aggro mirrors. So, congratulations to Julian. Third place. Here we go. Third place was Jeffrey, Mono Red Burn. I think Jeffrey, a few months ago, was playing Mono Red Burn and won one of our regular tournaments. He came in first place with Burn. And this deck got a really, really big upgrade with Burning Prophet. 2 mana, 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn, then scry 1. This is one of the best red cards from War of the Spark. And a lot of the games that we saw Jeffrey lose on camera, he did kind of flood out, and Burning Prophet protects you a lot from that. So just having Burning Prophet in play, casting your burn spells to remove their blockers, you get in a little bit of damage, but more importantly, you just make sure that the gas keeps flowing. So that was a really big addition. I don't think the last version of the deck that Jeffrey played had Precision Bolt, but this is a 3-mana burn spell that goes to the face, and he has a lot of them. And then in the sideboard, we did see Cosmotronic Wave do work. He brought that in against aggro matchups. Keldon Raider did work in some of the matchups where he expected the game to go long, right? If you're planning on the game going long, you got to protect yourself against Flood. Keldon Raider is a great way to do that. Nice, expensive, high-impact spell that also lets you rummage away a land. And then some more removal for some of the more aggressive decks. So congratulations to Jeffrey for coming in third place. Fourth place, here we have JP's Mono Green Aggro. This deck got a really big upgrade from War of the Spark with Giant Growth. Before, this was a Titanic Growth in this slot, and just having the cheaper, almost as impactful pump spell, I think, does wonders for this deck's curve. The other big addition that JP is playing from War of the Spark is Arlen's Wolf. I didn't really peg this one as something that was going to see a ton of play, but JP, every time I saw it in play, JP was able to run past a bunch of creatures that his opponents would have liked to block Arlen's Wolf with, right? Having that 2 toughness in a format that's full of 2-power creatures is usually not that good, but because it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, Arlen's Wolf did a fair amount of work over the course of the day. So good call from JP on selecting that card for his curve. The rest of the deck is pretty similar. Of course, if you are playing on Arena, you cannot use Might of the Masses because it is a downshifted uncommon. It is uncommon on Arena, but it has been printed as a common in the past, so we have it legal in paper, same as Lightning Strike. So if you want to play this deck on Arena, I don't think it's the end of the world if you just cut these 4 and play Titanic Growth instead. The curve becomes a little more wonky, but it's fine. So JP's sideboard, Sapling Migration, is very good against the control decks where going wide is beneficial. Snare Spinner, very good against white aggro. That plays a lot of flyers. Crushing Canopy, again, also great against white aggro. You can kill one of their flyers, or they usually sideboard in Luminous Bonds. So Crushing Canopy is very good there. I'm not sure what he's bringing in Centaur Nurturer against. Maybe the burn decks. I'm certain that Overgrown Armasaur comes in against the burn decks just because, if they point 2 burn spells at it, then you get to poop out 2 green sapling tokens. And then Crawl Forgers, I guess, against the decks that are trying to go under him, or just in the aggro matchups, I guess. So solid sideboard from JP and a great performance from him. Looking forward to see what he does in the future, being the youngest player. All right. And last deck that we're going to feature here. There we go. Last deck we're going to feature here is Blue-Red Control. This was my end boss deck. I did feature this one already in a previous video, so if you want to hear me talk more about the deck in general, feel free to check out that video, but just wanted to share it here because I did use it in the end boss match, beat Flora in 2 games, and I will probably make a separate video on this, but we did have 2 blue-black control decks in the youth tournament. Luca started out 2-0 with blue-black control and then lost his last 2 to miss top 8. And then Jansen, who's been playing blue-black control for a while, also decided to play blue-black control at the tournament, and he also missed top 8. Or, excuse me, we cut to top 4. So, I do think the key to building a control deck in this format is having lots of cheap removal and then also a lot of card draw. I'm playing 12 card draw spells in this deck. And the games that I saw, I didn't watch very many of Jansen's games, but the games that I saw Luca losing, he was just getting mana flooded. So you want to play your cards that are going to slow the game down, kill all your opponent's stuff, but then even if you reach a point where you've killed all their stuff, they have nothing, but neither of you have any cards in hand, your deck is reactive. So if you just hit a land pocket and your opponent draws the right threat, if you're already behind on your life total, they don't need a very big window to finish you off. So you need to play the high impact cards that are going to allow you to kind of close the door on a game. I do think that Cold Water Snapper, as well as the massive amounts of card draw, is the way to turn that corner in this format. So that is why I have been liking this blue-red standard Pauper deck for control. Hypothesisil is just great, but I do think that having that powerful end game is necessary. You can't just have all answers in your deck and hope to win with Ill-Gotten Inheritance. That is a meme. I do love me some Ill-Gotten Inheritance, but you gotta find a way to pull ahead. Can't just stay even. Okay, so that is it for today. Let us know what you think about the decks. And of course, congratulations once again to all of our top 4 competitors. Hopefully they put their challenger decks to use. Many of them have been getting into real standard. I know the challenger decks are kind of on the expensive side, but they are a really good way to get a foot in the door if you want to play real standard, if you want to play F&M, standard showdowns. That's really the bread and butter of playing Magic, so I love that these challenger decks got released, and they make great prizes for these youth tournaments. So that is all for us today. Last but not least, want to give a shout out to all of our patrons over at Patreon. We would not be able to do any of the awesome stuff that we do without them. So big shout out to all of you. And if any of you want to support the project or what we do, of course, watching this video and hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button here on YouTube is a great way to support us. If you want to take that a step further, please check out our Patreon page. That is patreon.com/mtg808junior. And, all of the donations go directly towards supporting the project, so we really appreciate anyone who can find the time and money to directly support us. All right, that is it for my shameless plug. That is it for this video. Let me know what you think of the decks, and I will catch you later. Peace.